Hello guys, in this video I'll show you how you can create a responsive background image for your websites. We will be creating all responsive background, and I will also show you how we can add content area, so we can add content on that background with no problems. And before we start, I would just like to show you that I have here in my root directory I have index file. This is file where we'll be working. So as I will write CSS here in this file in head section, you can use obviously a CSS style sheet and so on. And I have one image which I called stones. As you see, it's just a JPEG image. It's 1920 by 1200 pixels. And if you are getting image, just get a reasonable image so it fits on this all your screen. So let's get started, and to start with, let's go to our HTML page, and here we will create 3 HTML elements. And first element will be the main background, and this we will create div tag with ID, and we will call this ID BG for background, for example. Okay, and this will be main background from now on of your website, because this is where your image or background or your background image will live. And let's close this div at the very bottom, and in this background let's create image tag. Okay, img, as you know, and source is equal to, and as you saw, my image is called stones, and it is in the same directory, so I don't need to go into any other directory. So here I will simply write for source stones.jpg. Okay, and then we will give this image ID as well. Let's call this ID, let's say bg image for background image, bg underscore img. Okay, for shortcut. And for alternative text we could just add stones, for example, stones, and that's it, because you know that alternative text is required tag if you are creating any images in your HTML pages. This is mandatory tag which should be in any image of your HTML website or of any of your website which you are displaying for browsers if you want your websites to be optimized. Okay, these are the main elements for now, and later on we will create another div here below under this image for our content. But for now this is enough, and let's preview this in browser. Let's save it and let's run this in Chrome. As I'm using Chrome, you see that image is quite big and we have these gaps around it. So we will remove all these default browser paddings and margins by this offset rule, and we will do it in head. So in head, as I'm using HTML5, I'll create style opening tag, and we don't need to write anymore type or relating type text CSS, because in HTML5 latest version we don't need to do it. So let's close this style tag, and here we will write first offset rule, which is star sign, and for the let's open and close this, and here we will write margin 0, and padding 0. Okay, this will remove all default margins and paddings from all elements, HTML elements on our website, so we can use everything from scratch and give our own margins and paddings whenever we need it. So we save this and go back to browser, refresh, and you see that image moved now into the corner. Okay, and now next thing what we need to do is to refer to this background which we created. This is this div, and as it has ID, we refer it by using hashtag and bg, so it is this particular image bag ID name. And then we will tell that we want this to be in width 100%, and in height we want it to be 100% as well. Okay, And next thing what we will refer is background image. This is image which we created, and now we will put this image into that background so that image doesn't go over the screen. As you see now, it goes wide, and we have this bar, scrolling bar, horizontal scrolling bar, which we don't want. As we created this background only to be 100% in width and 100% in height, this means it will also always try to keep the width of the screen. And as we added this image inside that particular background, it will be holding that the 100% will be of width of that image will be the 100% of this background. You will see what I mean in a second. So let's refer this bg image now, bg underscore img. Let's open and close these tags, curly brackets, and let's say that we want this image to be width 100%. And like I mentioned, now this width, as we are mentioning here, 100%, it will be 100% in this background because this image is located within this background. And we will say that we want this image to be width 100% and we want it to be position absolute. Position absolute. We will need it to be absolute. Okay, now let's save. We can preview it in browser again, and we see that now our image perfectly fits in our screen. And as you see, it's scrolling, it's only height is okay, but there is no bars, horizontal bars at the bottom, so image is in the window. And if we resize this particular screen or this particular website is viewed from different devices, mobile devices or mobile phones, you see that it adapts to the screen. But as you see, in some devices, when if user would be viewing your website from small devices, sorry guys, it gets too low in height, and you would want to keep some height at least 500 pixels, so on all devices there is some background. And to achieve this, we can simply go back to our code, and for our image we can give that min underscore height. You can give whatever you want. I will give 500 pixels because on small screens there wouldn't be a problem. And now if we refresh and now we resize it, you see that it keeps 500 pixels at least, but we can give smaller. Let's give it 300. Okay, let's see how it looks now. Let's refresh and you see it looks a bit better. We could give it even less, like 200 minimum height. Refresh and you see, yeah, this would be okay. Okay, and as you see now it's responsive and it is your background. And yes, this is how it looks in full mode or full screen. I am previewing this from 15-inch monitor, and this is how it looked from smaller monitor. But for example, if you would want to add some text here, you wouldn't be able to do it because this wouldn't be on that image. You would need to create another content or another element where all your HTML elements would go, and we need to create another div id, and let's call this id content. Okay, content. Let's close this div. Okay, let's close this div. And now from now on, all your content of your page which you want to appear on this background would go in between this opening div and this closing div. So all content what you want to be on this particular background, you can write here. For example, we could create some title tag for heading tag h1, and we could say, for example, hello, this is my responsive background. Okay, and under you could create another paragraph, for example, tag if you would have it in your website, or any other content. This is some text, okay, or any other content, whichever you might have in your page from now on will go in between this div content opening tag and div content closing tag. And if we save it now, so it didn't save, let's go back, refresh. Actually we have to style this content. I haven't added the style to that content, so we again refer content div opening closing curly bracket, and the only thing what we need to do is say the position relative. Okay, we just need to give a position relative to stand that content above this, and we have to give width as well, I believe. Width 100% and height 100%, so it takes 100%. This particular content takes on that image 100% in width and 100% in height, and it stands above that image. Let's save it, let's go back, refresh, and here we go. Now this content is above this background, and if we refresh, you will see that even that content which is in that image, it kind of is responsive as well. So yes guys, this is how you can create a responsive background, or any background. If you don't want to be responsive, you could leave just width and height 100% or some particular size, like in pixels, and then it wouldn't be responsive. But as we are creating websites in HTML5 and they have to be responsive, and now all websites are responsive pretty much, so this is how you create a responsive background for your websites. And yes, in next video I will show you some other example, some interesting thing what you could learn in HTML5 and CSS3. We will be also working on animations and displaying and hiding elements on when, for example, user resizes your pages. We will be talking about media queries and so on and so forth in this HTML5 and CSS3 tutorial. And if you enjoyed this, and by the way, if you want to see all videos of this tutorial, you can find the link below this video. And if you enjoyed this video, leave a like, as it helps this video to stand out on YouTube, and subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and see you in my videos.